Come on, guys. Give God a praise. Welcome, welcome. How are you? Wow, this is great. Hey, we had the best time in the last service. I was kind of beating you guys up a little bit on the first service because of bragging on them. Because, the people that come to the early service, that takes a little bit of something. But I said we still love the second service. Hey, it's good to be back with you guys. It's been a couple years since I was with you last. And when you see the video, and I think all of you pretty much know me by now. If you're a newcomer, if you're a first-time visitor, and I know there is a few first-timers, please come back next week. This is a great church. He's a great pastor. I'm from New York. You have to forgive me. You have to love me. If you're going to heaven, you have to love me. But, it's just different. I was telling him in the last service, I make a choice every year to come to Singapore. I come here just about this time of year, every year, speak in different churches and talk to folks and kind of encourage the sponsors. And I choose to enter this world. It's a choice. I can tell you why. Most of you that know what I do, you know where I live. I don't live in Manhattan with the sissies. Exactly. I live in Brooklyn. I've been there now for 40 years. And when you live in an environment like that and then travel, because I have to travel every week, got to get the kids sponsored. It's where we are. So it's an unusual time. And you're a part of that. I told them, I am your missionary. I represent you. I represent this church as I go all over the world. But at the end of the day, when you live in where I live, and you go to the places I go, and you understand it's that constant push and shove. I've lived like that since I was a kid. So I'm kind of used to it. But then when you come here, and particularly here, like here, okay? Like here, this church here. Maybe it's because of the friendship that I have with your pastor. I think that's part of it. I know hundreds of thousands of people, but I can count, I shouldn't say this, but I can count on two hands my friends. Some of you older folks know what I'm saying. The older you get, the more you know who your good friends are. And for those of you younger people, you think your friends are the idiots on Facebook? I'll shoot you myself in Jesus' name. They're not friends. But I am proud to say, this man's my friend. I thank you, sir. I've called him in some tough times. I was in Afghanistan a couple weeks ago. I'm going to Yemen in January. I'll have to wear the bulletproof vest again. When I got shot in Syria a couple years ago, I got tremendous response, kind, gracious prayer emails from you guys. But I knew that I can call him anytime. I hope you know what you have here, because I do. Give God a praise for the man of God. Come on! Thank you, sir. I don't take that for granted, and I don't take this church for granted, and I don't take you guys for granted. I've done a different message in every service this weekend, different message in this service. But just people that are meeting me at the table, talking to me. Somebody brought me a cheeseburger. Thank you. I appreciate it. I thought I was going to have scrambled eggs, and by the time I got there, somebody had eaten the scrambled eggs. I thought you guys didn't make scrambled eggs. See, they like them, so they gave them to somebody else. But thank you, dear, for the cheeseburger. Thank you. So it's nice to be around nice people. Nice people. I don't have that opportunity very often. So I say thank you. Thank you to all of you that have prayed for me, that understand a little bit what I do, what I've done for these 50 years of full-time ministry. And now that I'm 70, now that I'm so old and mature, right, you're able to look back in retrospect at my life. And my life really is just a composite. It's a collection of people, of churches that have allowed me, and I use that in the strictest sense of the word, that has allowed me to go, to be, to reach kids, to go to parts of the world where other ministries don't go. But it's you guys that have allowed me to go. And for that, thank you. I think all of you got a calendar as you came in. At least I think you did. They were handing them out. If you got your calendar, please take it out. This is an important part of the meeting today. I send emails out, not a lot, but if something is important to me, I kind of feel like it's important to you guys. If there's a prayer request, a praise report, something to keep you updated on what's going on, that's why I do this. If you would like to receive those emails, there's no charge, of course. It's just me sending something that I think is important. Take a minute, flip it over. There's a place for your information on the bottom. While I'm going over some of the rest of the stuff, take a minute, fill it out, tear it off, hand this to me after the service. I'll be at the tables. I want to personally shake your hand and thank you for being a part of this prayer network. We have over 100,000 people that pray for me, pray for the kids, pray for the staff. It's a very important part of what we do. But please fill this out, give it to me, take this home, put it in your home as a reminder to pray, remind you this year, and then of course we'll be sending out some other calendars for next year. But just, I need, because I know out of sight, out of mind. I'm here every couple of years. I get it. You got all these other guys that come through and ladies and people in needs. I get it. But, you know, I'm so charming that I'm just, what? Shh. I'm one of those guys that hopefully you just don't forget. Or maybe you try to forget. Okay, that's why I do the calendar, so you can't forget. Anyways, keep that in mind. The books, bring me the picture of the books, guys. So you got it up there. If you have not had a chance, if you are a reader, the books, of course, Whose Child Is This? Teflon Rhino, One-Eyed Kings. These are books that are compositions of messages that I have preached on television, pastor schools, leadership conferences, meetings like these, that people will hear it and they'll go, you need to get that in a book. So that's what those are. When you see them out there, if I say something in this service, in this message, that connects with you, then that's what those are. But of course, Whose Child Is This? Is really the story of how Metro has become the largest Sunday school in the world. Over 200,000 kids a week in our Sunday schools. So if my testimony, if the story of how one person can make a difference, if that interests you, if that challenges you, if you know somebody that needs to be challenged, that's what this is. All right? And the rest of them, of course, kind of speak for themselves. Who's never read the book? I do this every service. And I don't know why. It's sometimes depressing. But who's never read the book? Hold up your hand. Wave at me. Never read the book. Okay. Some up in the cheap seats up there. I can't get to you up there, guys. I'm sorry. I could throw it at you if you want. No, they don't want that. All right, let's do it. Who never read the book? Let's see. All right, here we go. Oh, People on the second row, right here. Hey, here you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, dear. Thank you. Merry Christmas. All right, there you go. All right. Those of you sitting in the back, you get nothing. You got to sit up front, guys. That's how it goes. It's kind of a little extra motivation. You know what I'm saying? Give me that picture again, guys. What else we got? Oh, no, the books. All right. Do we have a new person back there doing it now? Did they? They're not waving at me. Okay. That's fine. The latest one is the Elephants of Relevance. This we've got it in Mandarin as well as English. This is my only hard copy book. Usually most of them are soft copies. They're just cheaper, easier to publish. You guys know that. But this one, in this is 50 principles that I've picked up from my 50 years of ministry. And it's kind of based on things that people in church don't want to talk a lot about, but somebody needs to. Hence the title. You know, it's the colloquialism, the 1,000-pound elephant in the room. It's there. Nobody wants to talk about it. So that's kind of what these are. And the reason I made it hardcover is because a lot of people bought them this weekend. And they told me specifically they were buying them for their friends, to try to motivate their friends, to stimulate a conversation, to get their friends to think. But see, the good thing of this is I made it hardcover so that if your friends kind of get irritated and they feel like you're confrontational, and then all you've got to do is snatch the book back, and because it's hardcover, you just smack them in the head in Jesus' name and say, hey, pay attention. So hardcover, so this serves as a book and as a weapon. So if you know somebody, if you have a friend that needs to be smacked in the head, this is a very cheap way. It's cheaper than bail money. So all you got to do is take it and just work them over. Who has a friend that needs to be smacked in the head? Oh, yeah, a bunch of them over here. We had in one of the services, the lady was pointing to her husband. So, who over here? You got a friend? Yeah, yeah, here we go. I'm going to give it to this guy right here. Yeah. So, just smack him twice. Once for you, once for me. Okay? Just tell him to get with the program. All right? And there's just a lot of stuff out there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. We're going to get you out on time. I don't know why I say that, because I say it at every service, and it's never true. But I'm going to do my best to get you out on time. And what else? One last thing. I want to talk to you about the pictures. Can you give me that picture, guys? Yeah. Over the years that I've been coming here, many of you have sponsored some of our kids. And as I said in the last service, I wish there was a better word for thank you, because I don't really think thank you does it. Doesn't do it for me. I can say it 10 times, but it can never express the gratitude that I have. Not only the gratitude that I have for your help, but that these kids have. You know what happened to me when I was a child. Most of you know me. My mother, who was an alcoholic, left me on the corner, walked away. She never came back. I sat there for 3 days. No food, no water. Yeah. That was in 1960. Anybody could have stopped. Anybody could have picked me up. And if that would have happened, 200,000 last week would not have heard the story of Jesus. But because one ordinary Christian stopped. And this is my whole mandate, guys, for Metro, for my whole ministry. One person can make a difference. I am the direct result. You're looking at it right here. the direct result of one ordinary Christian whose own son was dying in the hospital at that very moment, and yet he still pulled over, put his hand on my shoulder, asked me if I was okay. I told him my mother was gone. I was just hungry. He got me some food. He made some phone calls. 5 hours later, he's loading me in a church van, sponsors me to go to a Sunday school camp where I heard the story of Jesus for the first time. And now, and I don't expect you to understand all the implications of what I'm saying. I don't. But I am standing here on the other side of the world with you guys. Don't let the cute suit fool you, okay? You know who you're looking at here. I was the little boy that nobody wanted. You get that? Yeah. That's who you got here today. Yeah, I got a PhD. Yeah. Woohoo. Yes. Some people think that's a big deal. And I use big words. Sometimes you'll hear me say words in the sermon. I use big words just to justify the PhD, because that was the biggest waste of time and money in my entire life. So I have to use big words just to make me feel better, like I actually learned something. I'm working on an MD now. I'm becoming a medical doctor. I'll actually be a military medical field technician, because I'm on the road out in these places like Syria, like Yemen, like Afghanistan, and I have to be able to diagnose these kids. You know, sometimes over all these years, I've gotten tired of looking at people and saying, I can't help you. You know? It wears you out, man. It wears you out. So I thought, yep, yeah, I need to be a doctor where I can actually pick up a child and take care of them. It's important. And it all started with the ordinary Christian that stopped for me. That's what this is, guys. You'll have a chance to do that exact same thing. Same thing. When you get out of here, I'll see you at the table. You can pick the child that you would like to take care of. It's 45 Sing dollars a month. We have our own office right here in Singapore. It's some little dinky, where is it? The Katong Shopping Center? Some little hole in the wall. Somebody said, can we go see your office? Yeah, it'll take about 45 seconds to take the tour of the office. But the gals that work there have the heart for it. They will keep you connected to your sponsored child. If you sponsor a kid in the Philippines, go with me in March. First week in March, every year, I take 50 people to Philippines. Go with me. Walk with me where the kids live in the garbage dump. Go to the North Cemetery where 1,000 kids. Give me the pictures, guys. Andrews, give me that picture. The one with Cherry Ann. Yeah. This is in the cemetery. That's Cherry Ann. This was 2 years ago. There was a young lady from here, from Singapore, that heard me speak in her church. She said, Pastor Bill, I want to sponsor one of the kids that live in the cemetery. Great. So we signed her up. It was Cherry Ann. So last year, she goes, I want to go visit her. Perfect. Come on. Come visit her. Spend time. Encourage her. So we get to the cemetery. That's Cherry Ann's mom. They live amongst the tombs. See, every 5 years, they can recycle the tombs. So people come in, bust open the graves, pull the skeletons out, throw them on the ground so they can put another dead person in there. And you've got about 1,000 squatters that live in the cemetery. If you guys have never seen this, you need to go with me. It's like a little town. You've been around there. It's like a town. There's little stores and stuff in the store. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And so the girl from Singapore, the sponsor, goes with me. And we just finished Sunday school there in the North Cemetery. And I see the lady. Give me another one, guys. Give me the next shot. I see some of the ladies standing around Cherry Ann looking at her. And I thought, what are they looking at? So I walk over there. Give me the next one, guys. She was born without an anus. So what they had to do, they cut this hole in her side. And once a week, she goes to a clinic. They stick a tube in there to drain the waste. And then they just put a bandage on it. That's it. So she lives in the cemetery. This thing stays infected. So now, I'm right here with the sponsor. We're looking at what you're looking at. And some of you have a hard time with this. You can go see crazy movies, but you have a hard time with real life. I get it. Understand? This is my world. See, I chose to enter your world, but today, I'm bringing you in mine. You okay with that? Everybody good? Okay. We're looking at this. The sponsor looks at me and says, Pastor Bill, we have to do something. I said, you're right. That's what the urgency does. The urgency, look at me. The urgency demands something from you. You know that. And just before we walked away, I didn't say this yesterday, but I'm going to say it here. Just before we walked away, I saw the sponsor take her hand like this and put it on the hole in Cherry Ann's side. Remember when Thomas couldn't understand the resurrection? It was too abstract for him until when? Until he touched the wounds in the body of Christ. When he touched the wounds, suddenly things that didn't make sense, too abstract, suddenly it became real. And I saw, when she touched the hole in Cherry Ann's side, I knew she got it. She got it. Give me another one, guys. And she came back here to Singapore. She was all over this thing, making calls, going to hospitals, talking to doctors. She made an appointment, a surgeon, Christian surgeon, here in town. Said he'll do the operation for free. Christian anesthesiologist, she said, I'll do my part for free. 2 Christian nurses volunteered. Thank God for Christian people. Yeah? Come on. Give God a praise. Thank God. All of us can work together. That's what today is. That's what this whole service is about. We got her here to town, flew her here. They were doing some scans to prep her for the operation, but then, of course, she lives in the cemetery. So when they're doing the scans, give me another one, guys. They found her lungs were filled with worms that she'd picked up in the cemetery. So give me the next one, guys. It took 3 weeks to get rid of the worms. So that's the surgeon. Great guy. Great Christian guy. And jumped in, made it possible for this thing to happen. And this is going to be a tough operation. She's going to have to be totally, I used the word reconstructed, I think, yesterday. There may be a better word, but you guys know what I'm saying. She's going to have to be totally taken apart and literally put back together. And for a little girl, and she's going to have to be under with the anesthesia. It was about 9 hours, a little over 9 hours operation. It's tough. So they got in there. Tough operation. Give me another one, guys. What else you got? I took some of the other pictures out because it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying. She made it through the operation. Her mom was with her in the recovery room. Our Metro team was there in the recovery room. And I wanted you to see this because not only was the operation a success, but yeah, one more, guys. Give me another one. Yeah. She came out of it. She's got an opportunity to live a normal life. How do you live a normal life in a cemetery? Not sure, but you know what I'm saying. She's got a chance to survive. I think we got one of her on the plane. Do we have that one, Anders? Yeah. Somebody got her a teddy bear. We got her on the plane, got her back to the Philippines. So, when you see these on the tables, these aren't stock National Geographic pictures. Okay? It's not what this is. You know me now. You know what this is. This is real life. And as painful as real life is, sometimes it takes real people to step in and make the difference. So I'll be there as long as we need to be. Obviously, there's no more food, so I don't have lunch. I guess my cheeseburger is going to have to work. I'll stay as long as I need to, guys. You got questions? The team will be there. We had one person out there, a businessman, sponsor 3 children. Just picked up. He said, I can take care of 3. I don't know who's here. Some of you maybe can get together. Some young people last night got together. 2 or 3 of them got together. They couldn't do $45 themselves, so a couple of them got together and split it. I don't know what you can do, but if the Holy Spirit puts it in your heart, and again, Pastor, please don't ever get used to me telling you I appreciate you, because you got to know I do. Thank you for letting me share this. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I hope it can help. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes. I'm going to lay the foundation first. And for some of you, I won't see you for maybe another couple of years. At 70, yeah. Who knows, right? Yeah. With the places I go, that's okay. But this will be my last service with you on this weekend. I was back in Brooklyn, and I had a phone call to come do a funeral for one of the little boys that goes to the Sunday school. He didn't ride the bus that I drive, but had been faithful to the Sunday school. Little guy, 5 years old. And we deal with a Puerto Rican funeral home around the corner from the church. So I walked from the church to the funeral home. It's about 30 minutes before the service. I walked in, and something wasn't right. And I knew it wasn't right. There was nobody there, no family members, nobody. It was 30 minutes before the service. I ran upstairs to where they prepare the bodies. And I know the lady who runs the place because we've had so many funerals there. And I walked in, and she was working on the little boy. And she looks at me, she says, "We have no clothes to bury this kid in." She said, "Do you have any clothes at the church?" I said, I'm sure we do. So I run back to the church, get a little shirt, little pair of pants, some shoes, run back to the funeral, and I'm helping her dress this little dead boy. I don't know if you've ever done that, if you've ever had that opportunity to dress a dead child. If you have not, I pray that some time in your life, somehow, if that's for me, just take a message. It'll be all right. It's probably for me. I hope you'll have an opportunity to do that. I don't say that facetiously. I say it sincerely. So we're dressing the little kid. And I noticed right here, on the right side of his face and on his right hand, there were, and I don't know the word here, but like some kind of marks, like dig marks, something, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of deep dig marks. So I look at the funeral director and I said, "You know, you really didn't do a really good job at fixing the body." And she gave me this quizzical look, like, "You don't know what happened here?" I said, "No, I don't. Apparently, the mother, who was a drug addict, had beat this kid to death with a bat. They left him dead in their apartment all night. And they had some cats in the apartment that they hadn't fed. And the cats had been eating on the kid's face, eating on his hands. That's what these marks were. So I'm looking at this. Now I know what I'm looking at. And we did the funeral. Nobody showed. Nobody from the family showed. But we did the funeral anyway. He deserved that. You know what I'm saying? And now, fast forward to a couple of months later, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. Just got done speaking at a leadership conference. I'm at the back table, signing books, getting kids sponsored. And a lady who had been in my last meeting, and I had just told the story that I just told you, because it was fresh. And I just told the folks. So this lady comes out, and she's livid. And she's just, well, why do you live there? Why do you do that? You shouldn't, you're never going to help those kids. And she keeps using the word hopeless, which just irritates me. These kids are not hopeless, they just don't have any hope. Big difference between those two words. Jesus brings the hope. Yeah, you know that. Apparently, she didn't. And she was just going, and you know, I can be one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet until. And, you know, this thing is still raw. This story's still raw with me. And she's coming at me pretty hard. So I learned, you know, I spoke in public for like all these years, 50 years. So if somebody's really bugging me, I just walk away. Rather than just hitting them in the mouth, which isn't always Christian. It's just easier to just walk away. Some of you women are going, what? Some of you men know exactly what I just said. Okay. So I walk down the other end of the table. Well, here she comes. She's following me. She doesn't get the hint. So now she's still coming at me. You know, like this. Like the finger at me. So I walk back. Here she comes. She won't let up. So I'm going, man, somebody's got to help me. Well, this old man was watching me quite unsuccessfully deal with this crazy chick. So the old man comes up to her and does the 2-finger in the face trick, which was pretty cool for an old guy. He comes up to the woman and he yells at her. And this is like right in front of everybody. Like I'm trying to get kids sponsored. And this guy goes, lady. I thought, here we go. I know this is going to go bad really quick. He goes, lady, you have no idea what this man does. Because you don't understand, he has a shepherd's heart. That's why he does it. You don't get it, so you need to shut up and get out of here. Not Singaporean at all. That would like never happen here. Okay? And I thought, okay, I took a step back because I think somebody's going to swing. It's going to go right here. It's going to go down. And she got, you know, the swallowed the canary look. Just, and I just thought, Lord. And then he walks away. She walks away. Well, all the people that were getting books and stuff, they've left. They don't want to be a part. And so now I'm standing here by myself behind the table. And it's like I was just in a train wreck. I don't know what happened. But then I got back to the hotel, and I was, you know how you just rethink things, especially with a day like that. So I'm reflecting, and I thought, the guy didn't know me. He heard me preach one time, the same message that the crazy lady heard. But he said, don't miss this, he said, I had a shepherd's heart. Now, where did that come from? He didn't know me. I never talked to him. I never got a chance to talk to him. That captivated me. I know there's only 7 seconds. When you meet someone, you have 7 seconds, and they evaluate you. That's it. You got 7 seconds. And people will evaluate you in that period of time. I get that. But I didn't talk to him at all. He heard me preach. And I went, I thought, something clicked with that guy. And I got my concordance out, started looking up, sheep, shepherd, lamb, heart. I'm thinking maybe I can pick up something. Or maybe I don't know. It was a long shot, and I knew it. But it affected me. He saw something in that service, something connected with him. I couldn't find anything that made sense. But there was one more word that I had put on my list to look up in the concordance. And it was over in the book of Amos, chapter 3. Back to the Old Testament, where the old prophet Amos is getting this vision. He's seeing through the eyes of the Spirit something, scenario. He's catching it through the mind's eye of the Holy Ghost. And I'm reading this in this 3rd chapter of Amos. And I thought, could this be it? Is this maybe what the old man saw? Is this what? I don't know. I never got to meet him. But maybe. And I researched it. And for these last few minutes, I want to share with you what I saw, what the old prophet Amos saw, maybe what the old man at the back table saw. Because in this 3rd chapter, and really it's only one verse, it's only the 12th verse. It's 3 characters in Amos's vision. It's a vision on a lion, a lamb, and a shepherd. Remember the old man said, I had a shepherd's heart. I've never thought like that. It never really occurred to me. I don't know. But in this vision, in that 12th verse of the 3rd chapter, this lamb is caught in the jaws of the lion. Now watch me. Doesn't say how the lamb was caught. I'm not sure that's all that critical to the vision. It doesn't say why. Was it the lamb's fault? Was it the shepherd's fault? We don't know. But in the vision, the old prophet, watch me. The prophet is seeing through the eyes of the Spirit. He sees this lamb caught in the jaws of a lion. And the shepherd comes upon this scene. Now, try to see this the way the old prophet is seeing this. Try to put the pieces of the vision in chronological order. I think we can make sense of it. So here's the lamb caught. The shepherd sees it. And it's obvious when you read this that the shepherd just moves. I've got 3 thoughts here I want to give you, and then I'll get out of your way. but 3 observations in this vision. And I think you guys, you can make sense of this. The shepherd moves. He's going to do something. Maybe he doesn't know exactly what, how, the details, but it's as the shepherd moves. And the first thing I could see in this scenario, have you ever been around somebody like the man who picked me up off the street, where it's just an instinct? I preached a message here several years ago from 2 Corinthians 5:14, where it says, the love of Christ constrains us. The love of Christ moves us. That word constrains there that Paul uses is the Greek word syneko, a unique word that says when you understand what Jesus did, the love of Christ presses you, it pushes you, it moves you to do things that you would not normally do. But when you understand what Christ really did, when you really get the implications of the cross, when the man picked me up off the street, his own son was dying, and yet he still stopped. I've had a lot of conversations with him over the years. He's 89 years old now. I spend Christmas Day with him every Christmas. He can't talk anymore, so we just sit. We sit on a bench Christmas Day. He knows I'm there. Sometimes in the quietness, more is said than in any conversation. Some of you know that. And the lion has grabbed the lamb. The shepherd sees it. And I'm going to use the word here, instinct. It's like an instinct with some people. The shepherd moves. And obviously, you can see it in the verse. He's going to do something. The shepherd just moves. And he walks into this mess. The lamb being attacked by the lion. And you can see there in the vision, in that 12th verse, he grabs a leg of this lamb. Now watch this. What? He grabs a leg, and you can see, you can pick up the ethos of the thing. He's trying to pull the lamb out of the jaws of the lion. And he's working so hard. He's trying to free this thing that obviously, in the midst of the fight, in the midst of the struggle, he pulls the leg of the lamb off. Now watch me. I believe the Holy Ghost has helped me to understand this vision, just like he dropped it in Amos's heart. I believe that. He pulls the leg of the lamb off. I've been in ministry, guys, 50 years. You're not going to tell me a whole lot about church life that I don't know, that I haven't seen. I've seen the best the church has to offer, and I've seen the worst. I've been around this a long time. So in my Christian Western mind, okay, he tried. It was a reaction. He's good. He tried to help. He tried to free the lamb, but it didn't work. Look at me. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is very typical. I would have guessed that the shepherd would have just said, hey, you know what? I tried, but it didn't work. Have you ever tried to help someone and it didn't go the way you thought it was going to go? Have you ever tried to work with someone that had issues and problems, and you prayed for them, you've worked with them, you did everything you could do, and yet in the midst of it, it was like this shepherd trying to free the lamb, and no matter how hard you tried, he pulls the leg off, And I've watched how this works in real life long enough where so many people just say, okay, you know what? I tried. I made an attempt. It didn't work. I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. And maybe some of you that have been in with folks that have struggles. And you know you did the best you could, but it didn't work the way you thought. They didn't respond the way you had hoped. And he pulls the leg off. And so for many, the battle finishes there. It's over. But as you keep looking at that 12th verse, that's not how this works with this shepherd. It's obvious here that he goes back a second time. A second time. Now, you and I both know that's not the norm. He goes back the second time. And now the lamb is being, I don't want to use the word devoured here, but I think there's a strong word that needs to be put in there. The lion is eating this lamb in front of the shepherd. And it seems like even though he made an attempt, didn't work, you would have thought he'd have walked away. But the shepherd goes back a second time. So the word here now, it goes from instinct, because it could seem like an instinct that the shepherd just moved, but it didn't work. So if he goes back a second time, now, second observation, and this is me trying to interpret this. You may have a different idea, but this thing's starting to look hopeless. That's, to me, is the second observation in this vision. This looks hopeless. This thing's caught. It's being devoured in front of the shepherd. How? You've heard me use the word hopeless when I hear people say, these kids are hopeless. Yeah, I get it. Give me a picture, guys. Give me a picture. And we talk about hopeless. It was a couple of years ago. I think I told you about this little girl. Her name was Rosie. Found her in Ethiopia. She was chained to a tree. Her parents wanted a boy. They got a girl. They didn't want her. Kept her for a while and then decided they didn't want her. So we found her. I cut her loose, took her to the orphanage, and that's where I took this picture. I actually got her a sponsor. I told this story when I got back to the States. I had a mom and her daughter come back, sponsored Rosie. And seems this one looks pretty hopeless. Now, if there's any doctors here, you know that when kids, there's kind of this line in starvation that a child crosses. And if once they cross that line, it's really hard to get them to come out of it. She's on the line. She's on the line. And I knew it. Because, you know, with starvation, the body eats itself. That's what's happened. And I thought, I don't know if she's going to make it. But the sponsor said, I want to be a part of saving her life. And because of that sponsor, because of that vision that the sponsor had for this little girl, because of this knowing that there's more to this little girl than watching her die of starvation. 6 months later, I got to go back there 6 months later. Give me the next one, guys. You got the next one? That's after 6 months. Come on, give God a praise. 6 months, because one person caught a vision, saw what could happen, sent protein, sent food. Take the picture down. Take the picture down, guys. Got it? Thank you. The shepherd moves. It's like an instinct. He grabs the leg, fights, pulls one leg off. It looks hopeless. And you and I would think, hey, you know, we tried. We did our best. It didn't work. I'm done. This thing's hopeless. But it's obvious he goes back a second time. This is what caught my attention about this whole prophetic vision, or whatever you'd like to call this. He goes back and grabs a second leg. Okay, think with me. Think with me. This thing is happening right in front of him. It looks hopeless, but in the midst of what would appear to be hopeless, like Rosie, he grabs the leg, is still in the fight, pulls off a second leg. 2 legs now, 2 legs gone. Now it gets really interesting. You want to talk about hopeless? I can talk hopeless. I can talk hopeless, guys. I've seen it. Some of you have seen what you would consider a hopeless thing. I live in it. I was just in Afghanistan. You want to talk hopeless? We're right in the middle of the whole mess with the Taliban. Had 4 guys with machine guns, had to be for security in the hotel where I was staying in Kabul. It's no game, folks. You know that. You want to talk hopeless? We can do it. He goes back a second time, fighting, pulling, trying to save the lamb. Pulls off a second leg. And so now in my little Christian mind, I'm thinking, okay, now it's done. He tried, did his best. Now's the time to walk away. But as you see in the vision, in a last vain ditch effort, he reaches over. Watch this. You can see, you can read it. He reaches over and obviously pulls off a piece of the lamb's ear. Okay, now, does that make sense to you? I'd look at a lot of people and I'd say, that makes no sense. See, we went from instinct to hopeless, and now this is the last part in my mind. This is it. This is the culmination of the vision. Because once the lion is finished with the lamb, guess who the lion's going to turn on? Going to turn on the shepherd. The shepherd stayed. 1 leg, stayed in the fight. 2 legs, stayed in the fight. And now the thing is being devoured in front of him. And for some reason, God help us, for some reason, he reaches over and pulls off a piece of the lamb's ear. And I will use the word here, the last observation in the vision. See, it's one thing to have an instinct to just help. I think we saw that. It's another thing to stick around when it looks hopeless. We saw that. Pulled off a second leg. But now, if the shepherd goes back a third time, now you're talking about a personal sacrifice. Personal sacrifice. Because once the lion is finished with the lamb, he's going to go after the shepherd. But in this last effort, I'll let you figure out why. I'll let you fill in the blanks here, because we got to go. But he pulls off a piece of the lamb's ear. 2 legs and a piece of an ear. 2 legs and a piece of an ear. Why? What does that vision mean? What did the old prophet pick up from all this? When that man picked me up off the street. Do you have the picture, guys? Do you have the next picture? I think it's yeah. That's the man that picked me up off the street. That was last year, Christmas time. He's pretty old now. I asked him, I said, Dave, why did you pick me up when your own kid was dying? He said, I thought if I could get you into the presence of God one time, maybe something would happen to you. I guess it did, didn't it? Yeah. It cost him $17.50 to sponsor me to go to that camp. He had to borrow the $17.50. I'm a pretty good investment of $17.50, huh? I guess it depends on who you talk to, but I think I'm a pretty good investment of $17.50. 2 legs, piece of an ear. Take it down. So, where does that leave us? My time's gone. I'll see you outside. But see, somewhere in this life we call Christianity that we've chosen, I've learned it's all about the heart. It's all about the heart. The old man in Dallas said, I had a shepherd's heart. I didn't understand it in Dallas at the back table. Maybe. We've had buildings that have been burned down, arson, church buildings. We found a dead guy in one of them in the basement. Didn't even know the dead guy was there. We've had 2 buses firebombed, blown up. Found one of our assistant pastors dead behind the church on Sunday morning. You know the stories. You guys have been around me. You know what I do. I hope, and I prayed last night, that something I would say today, something you would see, would make you look at your heart and say, are you willing to jump in to the fight? Is it an instinct for you to help? Are you willing to stay with it even when it's hopeless? Even when it means a personal sacrifice? Are you willing? 2 legs and a piece of an ear. Doesn't make sense, does it? Unless you've got a shepherd's heart. It's a big world out there, guys. Your neighbors out there, what's your neighbor see? That old man, he saw something. I don't know. But the old prophet saw a shepherd. Didn't give up. And even though it meant maybe a sacrifice, a personal sacrifice. Yeah. Father, I love you. I love you. I tell you a lot. And I pray, Lord, that somehow in these messages this weekend, Lord, the truth of your word will be real to us, because there's still a little boy sitting on a corner. There's a little girl being sold right now while we're sitting here. There's a girl being sold, and everybody in this room knows that. The fight. 2 legs and a piece of an ear. Shepherd's heart. Let it be our heart. Speak to us. Oh, the blood of Jesus washes me. Oh, the blood of Jesus shed for me. And what a sacrifice that saved my life. Yes, the blood, it is my victory. I can't say it enough, but thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We trust you have been blessed. For more information, check us out at www.whos.org.sg. God bless.